part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Look up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's...
This is Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action. This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Birthright, and you're listening to the Krypton Report.
Hello, Brooks here with the Books with Brooks monthly book club podcast. Here's how Books with Brooks works. We read one book a month, and then we talk about it. Classics like Stephen King's The Shining, debut novels like We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang, and tons of other compelling, life-changing stories, one book and 1 month at a time. So come read along with us, and then listen in.
This is Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.
Welcome to the Krypton Report. Today's episode is very special. It's brought to you by Zoa. Not really, but it should be.
Did you find a?
Thanks, Dwayne Johnson.
Did you find
for
a
blessing me
Black
with
Adam
this
one
drink.
yet, or we probably won't get it for another couple of months, huh?
No, I have not. But I'm looking. And what's funny is I heard an interview on another podcast with Dwayne Johnson, and they asked him about how great his shape was for filming Black Adam, and they said, does Zoa have anything to do with it? And he's like, of course Zoa does. And I had to chuckle why I paid my $3 per can. But anyways, today's episode, we are going to be looking at I have it as 73 DC-based animated films, starting with Mask of the Phantasms. That'd be 93. Now, I couldn't do this alone. You've already heard the beautiful voice of James Cole, the bearded Superman of Red. But we had to reach across the multiverse, that's right, and tap our very own animated Superman, Mr. Nate McKenzie. What's up, buddy?
Hey, boys. How you going? It's great to be back talking to you both again. And, I can't wait to talk about all these animated movies. I hate to say I haven't seen every single one of them, but I'm looking forward to a great discussion with you both.
And you know what? That's okay because, once I started compiling the list, there are a lot of them. I have an obsessive compulsiveness that I've seen them all.
I have not seen them all.
I also have
I would
kids,
like
and that
to,
helps too.
And, I mean, that's the
I
goal.
make them watch.
But...
And as we talk, some of them I'll be like, you're not missing anything. Now, I do want to throw out some ground rules for people listening. Okay. 1, I didn't do any computer-generated films. So I guess I didn't include any of the Lego-based stuff. That includes, I think we left out Batman, the Lego movie. I can't remember if we did or not. We might have thrown that one in there because it was an actual higher-end level film. But I left out those movies because I feel like those are just like churned out. Like the Lego movies are ridiculous how many they did. And plus, those are even harder to watch, so we wouldn't really even have any kind of conversation with them. But yep, didn't see it. All right, moving on. So I just wanted to throw that out.
Wait,
there.
You didn't see Lego Batman?
No,
I know we didn't.
But I did. No, I saw Lego Batman, and I'm on record. I like Teen Titans Go better than Lego Batman. I enjoy it.
You
more.
might.
I'll probably get some hate mail for that. That's okay. That's okay. But the other thing I want to point out to all of our great, wonderful listeners is if you haven't checked out Nate's show, Nate reviews Superman the Animated Series and has started doing some of the animated movies reviews. So we thought, who else better to have with us to talk about animated stuff but Nate? And this is actually going to be a 2-parter because we have so many movies to do. Part 2 will appear on Nate's podcast, and we'll have a plug for that by Nate, so you'll have to follow up with him to hear the rest of it. Now, also, we decided it would be kind of ridiculous to try to put these in a ranking. So we thought we'd go to the coolest new trend of TierMaker, because I was up one night playing on TierMaker, making stupid crap like I do sometimes. And I thought that would be a much more fun discussional point. So if you're not sure what TierMaker, go to tiermaker.com. You can find, I'll actually have in the show notes the link to the template that we're working out of. If you want to do that before you listen to the podcast, awesome. If you want to do it afterwards, awesome. And so Nate made his, James made his, I made mine. And as we go through here, we'll see if we can kind of figure out and make one as the group. Okay? I think that pretty much sums up everything. Everybody good?
Yep. Good to go.
All right, my friends. Let me take another drink of this orange Zoa. That's good. I'm pushing hard for you to be sponsored by Cherry Coke or
definitely.
Zoa. It's not going to happen,
I'd love to
but
put a
I can
Zoa
pray, right?
ad in there. You know?
I'll jump on board. I don't even know what Zoa is. I'm guessing it's is it an energy drink of some sort? Or?
Yeah, it's an energy drink that is endorsed by The Rock, and it's like a healthier based, all natural energy drink. So it's become my wife and I's like default because it uses more tea, because I won't drink regular energy drinks, but I'll have a Zoa here.
They're actually pretty good. They're pretty good tasting.
You know, it's gotten pretty bad.
You know, a lot of those energy drinks are really hit and miss. I've had a lot of them over the years, as you know, because they've marketed a lot as like pre-workouts and stuff as well. So
there is a line of Zoa that is a pre-workout. There's like 3 different flavors that are pre-workout.
That's the point.
I sound like a walking commercial.
Yeah, I'm pretty good so far.
Right.
Hey Zoa, I'm gonna have to start tagging them in all of our posts. I'm like, all right. But let's get into this. Okay. The DC animated films, as we know, have been around for a while. And we're looking at starting in 93 with Batman, Mask of the Phantasm. So the first film, I have these films, I typed them all up. They're in no order because I didn't want to go like in order over time. So I just made the list and basically shuffled it and put them in like randomness. So the first film to discuss, Justice League War. Now, James, we're going to let Nate go first. So, Mr. Nate, Justice League War.
All right. So, overall, actually remembering back when I watched this the first time, this is obviously based off the New 52, of Justice League when they came out, and I actually enjoyed the movie. Like, the first time around watching it, I remember correctly, it wasn't as exciting as I thought, but after watching it a couple more times, I actually got on board and went, okay, I could watch this, because this is the new, obviously, iteration of the DCAU as it was at that time. So I enjoyed it for what it was. It was hard to go from, the original visuals of the DCAU, especially with the characters and what they wore, and then obviously going with the new comic book. But overall, like I said, I enjoyed it, and I rated it a C.
Okay.
So Justice League War, I mean, I really liked it. I really liked the animation style that they used for that, kicking off with that, or if you want to kick off with Justice League Paradox, Flashpoint Paradox, my bad. But kicking off with this, I really like the animation style. For the most part, I enjoyed the majority of the voice cast. It was really good. I ranked Justice League War as a B tier.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'll go last because that's how I am. So Justice League War, I have a sweet poster actually of it behind me that I got it at FYE. Rest their souls as America changes our malls. And I actually rated it as an A because I found that I went back to it often and I really love the voice cast. And as the movies go, some of the cast is changed. Superman is one. I think he's changed for the better. I'll admit that. Green Lantern is changed. Wonder Woman is changed. But I really enjoyed this one. I find it was kind of a step up to being more cinematic, but I enjoyed it. I've watched it a lot over time. And to me, it's kind of an A tier introduction. I do like the way that they brought Shazam into it. And there's a fun story with the writer of it, Heath Corson, where when he was writing the script, he had to write he wrote kind of two versions, but he had Shazam in there because they weren't sure at the time if they were going to be able to use the Superman character, because it was at the time that the Schuster and Siegel, or the Siegel estates and everything, were in a negotiation with DC for use of the character. So I found that very interesting. So it does bum me out on the cover, though, that they did leave off like Flash and Green Lantern and stuff. But I think, though, with what we have, I think as a group, we will rate it a B. Between James's B, my A, and Nate's C, I think we even out.
Yeah.
It'll be a B. What do you guys think? And I just want to throw this out there. There are no wrong answers here, okay? Everyone has their opinion. If Nate likes something more than me, cool. If James likes something more than me, he's wrong, but that doesn't count.
It's
so
reverse
we're gonna go
Tyler
through
likes
now.
something
The next
more than
movie
me.
is a newer.
It's, he might be right, but if I like something more than him, I'm definitely right.
That's how it works. That's how it works. Nate's like, I just like what I like, guys. Please don't make me pick and choose. I like you both. The next movie is Teen Titans Go in DC Superhero Girls Mayhem of the Multiverse. This is a new one. I may be the only one who's seen this.
Mm-hmm.
It just came out in June, right? Yeah. So if a movie hasn't been seen, we had this conversation earlier.
Correct.
We're automatically dropping it to the E category. Correct?
Yeah.
Awesome. Nate, have you seen this?
So
James,
probably
have you
about
seen this?
half. I was sitting here watching it with the kids, and I had the baby, and she was taking a nap, and I was holding her, and I'm kind of notorious for falling asleep when my kids are asleep on me. So I fell asleep, and I woke up, and it was over.
Oh, I remember.
So
that
I
phase.
enjoyed what I what I saw, because I do like, I do like Teen Titans Go, and I do like DC Superhero Girls. It was definitely more of a superhero girls movie, at least the first half from what I saw. And it was really funny. It was enjoyable. I ranked it in the D rank because I didn't finish it, but I did enjoy what I saw.
Little history about the project I learned. A while back, they did do a crossover between
Yes,
the
I've
two,
seen that.
and it was on Cartoon Network, and I actually bought the individual episode for the kids because the kids really enjoy them. I bought the second season of DC Superhero Girls for Sayla, and her and I have been watching that, and we've had fun doing that. I bought the movie, pumped to watch it with the kids, watched it. We all kind of liked it. And the problem with it is it was made to be a DC Superhero Girls movie, but then in like the 11th hour, they decided to thrust the Teen Titans Go in there, and they're so oddly placed that it doesn't feel as cohesive as it could be, and I think it makes it a lacking movie. I ranked it as an E because I was so upset with like just the way they did it. Had they just stuck to the Teen Titans, or if they just stuck with the Superhero Girls, it easily would have been in the C category. But I was just very unhappy with how it plays out.
Yeah, I mean,
so I put it as an E.
The interesting thing I saw, because they were like, from the majority of what I saw, like the Teen Titans were watching the DC Superhero Girls, like on TV, but they were watching another universe. So
yeah, it just didn't work. But so let's move on to a movie that maybe we have seen, hopefully. Mystery of the Batwoman. Nate, take it away.
I don't remember lots of this movie. I know I watched it many years ago, and the thing I loved about it most was probably I wouldn't say continuity, but just the, going back to the Batman the Animated Series look. Kevin Conroy's Batman, and introducing a new character as well, which was good. I can't remember if she was introduced in the animated series at all. I can't remember.
Nope, this was her introduction.
But only reason why I ranked it as a C is mainly because I can't remember the whole movie itself. It's been such a long time that I've watched it. But just looking at, going back at IMDb over the last couple of days and just having a look at the visuals and that sort of thing, I think that's what probably would excite me to watch the movie again. Just the fact that it's that wow factor that you see Kevin Conroy as Batman voicing the character, and you just see the animation style, and that's probably what would get me to watch the movie. But not remembering it 100%. I don't want to go as low as a D because I can't say that I didn't like it, but I can't rate it any higher because I can't remember it as a whole. So I'll give it a C.
I ranked Mystery of the Batwoman as a C. Out of the 3 animated movies that take place in that continuity. I enjoy it, it's good. I always liked that Bane was one of the villains in it. And I like how it was, like a mystery as to who it was, who Batwoman was, and the resolution there. But I ranked it a C.
I also ranked it as a C, and part of that is out of the Batman the Animated Series universe films, the 3 that they did, it's definitely the least. It feels like just a longer episode. I don't go back to it that often. But what I do like about it is they took kind of the 3 different origin ideas of the Batwoman in the comics and kind of found a way to play with that in the movie. And this is, her only appearance in the animated series. So I guess we're all agreed. And it was one that I didn't know was coming. I just found it one day on the shelf at my video store. And I was like, oh, cool, And I didn't rent it that day, but I went back later and got it. And I don't even remember the first time I watched it. Most of these I can probably tell you when I was doing, what I was wearing, maybe what I was eating, but that one I can't. And that was a joke, by the way. But, so yeah, we all agree that's a C. Now, here we go, guys. First one up for the big man in blue. Superman versus the Elite, Nate.
I'll just say straight up, this is one of my all-time favorite animated movies. This is an A for me across the board. The reason why I love this movie so much, this is my first introduction actually into the character of Manchester Black. So those who have listened to my podcast know that I was late bloomer into reading a lot of comic books. So a lot of the villains and even a lot of the heroes that I actually learned was from the animated series or the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. So this is my first introduction to Manchester Black, and just the evolution of Superman throughout this whole movie, just the way that he starts off being the Boy Scout, but also with Manchester Black and his team, showcasing to the world that sometimes people need to die to stop them, because we keep putting them in jail, but they keep coming back out. The Atomic Skull, killed someone, comes back out and kills someone else. When the world sees what Manchester Black does and his team does, they all fall for it pretty much. And at the end, you just see a fantastic scene right at the end. Where you just see Superman go rogue, and you just see what he can do if he actually turns, to the dark side, so to speak. And just that last, couple of scenes was just so epic, and it was just a wow factor, and you could just see, and it just changed everyone's view of the Man of Steel as well. Even they saw it in him as well. They knew that we can't afford for our superheroes to end up like Manchester Black and his team and end up turning the world around. So that's the reason why I love this movie so much. Just of how it basically went around in circles. Basically, the Boy Scout, the public went against him about his views about how he treated the villains, but then at the end of the movie, we're back around to the start, understanding why Superman is the Man of Steel and who he is and why he is.
All right, James.
Hello. Okay, there we go. Sorry. No, my computer was acting up there for a second. So Superman versus the Elite. I love it. It's a great, it's based off of a great story, a great comic. It is very well done. I mean, the only negative I can really give it is the animation style is very cartoonish for how serious in nature the tone and the content is. And it's only that comparison. I don't not like the animation, so it's it still looks really good. It's different, but I mean, and I've got an extra soft spot for it because that was the first episode that I joined Tyler on.
Oh, I was going to say that too.
Yes, it was.
I
give it an A.
James's first time recording together.
Oh, wow.
All right. So it's going to be an A for our grouping, but I put it as a B only because of the animation. Like, I was trying to get very particular. I think the story is great. I think the voice casting is great. I think the direction is great. The fact that I think this is a very serious and strong story and the animation they chose to use for the film strikes me as odd. It's more cartoonish and playful than what the material, and it's not like they're trying to imitate the comic book art, because it wasn't like that either. But this is actually one I like to go to for Superman a lot. But when I was doing this, I was trying to be like, I didn't want to just throw everything like, oh, hey. I was trying to be like, okay, really nitpicky. And I put it as a B just because of the animation. But as a grouping, we're putting it as an A, so I feel better. I'm vindicated.
Actually, if I remember in this movie, is it the start of this movie when he actually sees like an animated, like his own cartoon version of himself? Is that this movie?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. But you're right, like that's the only thing, if I can nitpick, as you both said, is the animation style. If I could nitpick anything else.
It's this story, though. Like, I like the animation. It's fun.
But
I don't feel like it matches.
It's really well
story.
done, though. Like especially when he talks about the third act there, when Superman decides to show what it would be like if he did what the Elite did. I mean, the animation is just really good. All the effects, all the powers. I mean, Superman even has a bloodshot eye, So, it's really good. It's just, it doesn't quite match up. Absolutely.
Highly recommended movie to anyone who's listening who has not seen it. All right, so the next one is interesting. It's Constantine's City of Demons. Now, this one is weird because it's one of those movies that was like little shorts on the CW Seed that technically falls more into like the CW movie category, but sometimes gets grouped into the animated continuity category because it is Matt Ryan. It is that animation. So it exists out there. And what are your thoughts on this movie, Nate?
This is another one that I know I've seen it because, when Matt Ryan obviously did the live action Constantine, then he came back on Legends of Tomorrow, and as soon as I found out he was doing an animated movie and he was voicing it, I thought I've got to see it, but I just can't remember everything about it as well. But I think, again, this is another one of those ones I'm just going to give it a C because just the fact that Matt Ryan was, voicing the character. There's not many people out there that voice their own animated, live action character, and the fact that he does this, and just having a look at the visuals again, it's something that I think if you like the character of Constantine itself, I think it's something you enjoy. But yeah, like I said, I can't 100% remember the whole story of what goes on, but yeah, I'll rate it a C.
I do want to throw this out there. This is one of the things I forgot to say at the top of the episode. One, I did this up till Catwoman Hunted, and I technically should have included Constantine House of Mysteries, but I flipped those two movies in my brain. So that's one that we'll have as an honorable mention at the end. And the other thing was I did group things that were released as movies that were like episodes. I did put them out there because part of my childhood, they were movies. One being, we'll get there, the Superman, the Last Son of Krypton. Just those were the other points I wanted to make at the top of the episode. I totally forgot.
Constantine, City of Demons.
All right, James, back to you.
I gave it a B. I enjoyed Matt Ryan is great. He is such a good Constantine, live action or animated. The story I thought was pretty strong. And I personally enjoyed the rated R nature of it because he is, like, the entire movie, he is dealing with demons. Like, this is a very dark story, and he's surrounded by, like, these horrible individuals, these horrible demons. So, the fact that it's very dark, the fact that it's gory and stuff, And I love, horror movies and things, so it kind of was right up my alley. I liked it a lot.
I rated it as a D because I was caught off guard when I watched it because of how dark it was. I wasn't expecting it to be that dark. And I thought it was good, but I've watched it twice.
No,
and I don't ever leave it feeling upbeat. So on our average, we'll rank it as a group C. All right. Now, here for you fellas, DC Superhero Girls Hero of the Year. Anybody watch this one but me? Yes. Nate, you watched this one?
No, unfortunately, like I've actually wanted to actually start watching these after listening to you talk about them a lot and watching them with your kids, and the fact that you sound like you really enjoy them. So I might have to, when I get an opportunity, I might have to watch them sometime.
They are worth a watch. These movies are weird because there's two different versions of DC Superhero Girls. One's is very bright and shiny, more refined, soft drawings, cutesy. The other is more like hard edge, crazy cartoon, and they're both fun. And my daughter and I, watch them together, and Solomon watched them because they have like the other characters as well. But it started out as like these 10-minute or 2-minute or 1-minute little shorts on YouTube, or not YouTube. You can watch them on YouTube, but they were on Cartoon Network, and it was like really, there was no show or anything. And then they did 3 movies. And
this is the only one I've seen.
This is one of those releases of a movie.
Hero of the Year. I got it for my daughter, when it came out, when it was released on DVD. So it's the only one I've actually seen.
And what would you rate?
The only reason, honestly, that it's rated a D, and the only reason for it being, I don't remember much of it because it was so long ago. I haven't seen it in so long. So I don't remember much of it. I do remember enjoying it with my daughter, and we had a good time, and she watched it a few times.
Okay. I rated it as a B. Same kind of principle as you. It is very Kara-centric, so it makes it nice. And I won't spoil, but there's some fun voice casting in there. And it was just a good time. And the next movie, we'll just go ahead and throw it in there, is the DC Superhero Girls Intergalactic Games. It's the sequel to this one. And I rated it as a C. Because I felt like it kind of just dipped down in story some.
No, I've only seen... Yeah, I only saw the first one. Did you see it,
James?
So the Intergalactic Games and the... Legends of Atlantis, the third one. I haven't seen either one of those.
All right, so when we get to Legends of Atlantis, I'll just tell you guys what's up. All right, so let's get back to a movie you guys probably have seen, which is Nate going, Tyler, I want to talk about something. And I'm like, dang it, I'm sorry. Batman versus Robin.
No, unfortunately, this is another one I haven't seen as yet. There's actually more on this list than I anticipated, but it's definitely on my. I've actually got it in my collection behind me, so it's just one of those ones that I just haven't had a chance to put in the DVD player. But I'd love to hear your take on.
Well, Batman versus Robin
right,
is rated a B on here. You know, that animated continuity has a 3-movie Batman, Damian, and Bat Family arc there. Son of Batman, Batman versus Robin, Bad Blood. But Batman versus Robin, I rated it a B. You know, the introduction to the Court of Owls. You know, as of that time, I hadn't read any of the Court of Owls, so it was kind of like my introduction, and I was like, well, this is really cool. I like that idea. You know, the character of Talon, the interaction that he had with Robin, you know, and then Batman kind of like dealing with Damian the way that he was, because he had a long arc through that animated universe. Yeah.
Damian is the one character that actually has the arc. If you really plot it from his introduction, and I said this when we talked about the whole universe, watch Justice League War, then Justice Thrones of Atlantis, then take the Batman ride. So that would be Batman, Son of Batman, Batman vs. Robin, Batman Bad Blood, then Teen Titans versus the Justice League. That's your like hardcore Damian ride right there. And then where he is when we get to Justice League Apocalypse or Justice League Dark Apocalypse shows his arc through the films.
Judas Contract after Teen Titans versus the Justice League. And then you go back to Damian and you get, you know, like the wrap up of his arc in Justice League Dark Apocalypse War.
So, and that's my thing is, don't watch Son of Batman after Justice League War. Watch Justice League Thrones of Atlantis, then do Son of Batman. But I agree. I kind of teetered on a BC for this, just because I feel like they kind of didn't do the Court of Owls the justice they deserve.
I agree with that. In
being kind of a
retrospect, having read what the Court of Owls was in the comics, but you know they also had Batman and Nightwing books to flesh them out.
Right, and that's why I do hope that we get a Batman Court of Owls movie in this new continuity. Just throwing that out there. But yeah, we'll go with a B. You know, and now so that takes us to Son of Batman. Nate, have you watched Son of Batman?
No, that's another one on the list.
All right. So,
I mean, it's ranked
James,
to be up here as well. I actually, it's kind of, so the story of Son of Batman, I'm actually kind of familiar with from the comics, because, I mean, interesting story was I went to see the Dark Knight, and they had like radio personality or something there, and they were doing like a trivia thing, and it was like sponsored by a local comic shop, and so they asked a few questions, and some people got a few prizes, and they asked me a question, and out of the prizes they gave, I got the book Son of Batman.
And
is it Batman?
Isn't it,
yes, it is
Batman
and Son.
And Son. Am I?
Mm-hmm.
And it's by Grant
Batman
Morrison's
and Son.
And then when they did the movie, they made it Son of Batman.
And it's very close. You know, there's a lot pulled from it. So, and honestly, I got the best prize out of the ones they gave out. That was pretty cool. And so it was very familiar. I love seeing the beats. It was very good. And honestly, they had the same actor do Damian Wayne like the whole time. So it's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome to see him start, and you hear him as this young boy, because that's what he is. And then as the arc progresses, and he was a snot-nosed little brat, man. And he played it well.
Yeah, he does. He does. This one I don't like as much as Batman vs. Robin. This one is a C for me. I don't go back to that often. It is the first one that I bought brand new. The other ones I had gotten here and there. I talked about before that at one point in time I bought a huge collection from it was like it was like 5 for $20 or something, that used DVD sale, and someone had traded in a bunch of these animated movies. And so I'd always rented them or watched them with friends, or illegally burnt them because my friend did that for me. But this is the first one I bought brand new, and then I went back and bought the ones that had come out before it. But yeah, I rank it a C. And then while we're on this trend, we're just going to jump in. And Nate, I'm sorry if you haven't watched it yet, because I feel Batman Bad Blood.
Well, definitely watch Son of Batman, Batman versus Superman, Batman versus Robin, and Batman Bad Blood. It's a nice little trilogy, and even if those are all you watch instead of all of the movies that Damian Wayne is in, it's a good start for those first 3. It's a good trilogy. I ranked it as a B too. I like watching all 3 of these movies back to back to back.
Yeah, it's a good ride. This one, Batman Bad Blood, I'll just throw it out there. I did it as a B. I like this movie. It has the whole Bat family. It brings in Batwoman and Batwing with a nice little tease at the end of Batgirl. And it builds on what we've had. It builds on it.
Yeah, and we get
Nightwing a great bonding time.
Spoiler here, Nate, but we get to see we get Dick Grayson in the cowl.
Sorry,
that's all right
for that portion.
Yeah, and fun. So the fun story with this one. This is the last movie I bought on DVD. After this, I just started buying them all on Blu-ray because I was trying to save the difference. But then I was like, whatever, I'm done. So this was the last one I bought on DVD. And the day this one came out was the day we moved into our house. It was a house that we were renting. And the first night we were there, this is what we watched. That's how we christened the house, watching this movie. So we put it as a B. All right. Now, Nate, please tell me you've watched this one. Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker.
This is a funny story because I've never actually watched all of Batman Beyond as a series. It's one thing that I've actually wanted to buy on Blu-ray and just watch from start to finish because...
Do it.
It's just we're listening to everyone talk about it and say how much fun it is to watch. And the main reason I watched this is just because Mark Hamill was back as the Joker. And... Kevin Conroy is Bruce Wayne, and they just haven't because this was in the middle of the series, wasn't it? This wasn't at the end of the Batman Beyond, was it? This was
it kind of was. But you can kind of watch it after the end of the series because the way the series ends. I like to watch it as after season 3, watch this, then go to Justice League.
Yeah, and. That was my first introduction, actually, to the character was actually Justice League Unlimited I think it was when he talks to Amanda Waller and he learns a bit about his life and all that sort of stuff, and that's what got me intrigued about the character, and then that's when I think I found this movie, and I just loved it for what it was, and that got me really excited about wanting to watch the series. But again, life got in the way. But it's just something that I really want to go back to and watch the whole series and watch the movie again, and that. As a whole, I rated it as a B just because of just Mark Hamill as the Joker. Like going back to, I obviously remember him most from the animated series, and Justice League. Obviously he came from Batman in the animated series. But
right. Well, then his
voice alone.
I'll jump in here now. It's a B for me. Batman Return of the Joker is a B for me. It's for the animation. It was really nice to see them bring Joker back to that style that was kind of before, because he went to that really horrible like straight line mouth without any lips and like beady black eyes. So the animation was really good. Honestly, it's probably one of the best things about Batman Beyond. I do have the whole series, and I have watched it. But it is definitely one of the best things about it. And but that's just more or less because it is so good, and it has those strong ties back to the animated series. We get Barbara's Batgirl. We get that flashback. Tim as Robin. And that section of the movie itself is just, that section of the movie is an A, So it's Batman Beyond Return of the Joker is a B. It's a really good one, and I think it probably got people interested in checking out the rest of the series.
I agree with that. Like, it's like it retroactively got people into the series. I rank it as an A. I don't remember which cut I own. I bought it. I had watched it. I rented it from the video store and watched it. And then later I found like at Walmart and wanted like a 2-pack. I think it was this, and then with the actual pilot 2 episodes together as a movie, which I didn't throw on here on this list because I didn't really feel like that was much of an actual movie. It was just 2 episodes put together. But yeah, I rank this one as an A. Now, Nate, what about Batman Gotham Knight?
Yeah, I remember when I bought this. I think it just came out not long after Batman Begins, if I remember correctly. And
it was supposed to be the bridge between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, with like stories of Batman.
It was just one of those things that that's probably one of those movies I bought and I got really excited to watch it. And then when I watched it, I went, "What is going on?" The fact that I think there was 4 different like stories of different ways of how he became the Dark Knight and different versions of himself and all that sort of stuff, which really confused me. It's one of those movies I probably have to go back to probably appreciate it for what it was. And like I said, I bought it mainly because I was on the hype of after Batman Begins. Superman Returns was coming out not long after that as well. So, it was back in that superhero theme. But yeah, so I was on the cusp of a D, but I put it as a C overall just because of, Kevin Conroy is bringing back I'm pretty sure it was Kevin Conroy back as the voice actor for that one. But yeah, so I was on the cusp, but I put it as a C overall.
I'm in the same place. Like, I was wrestling with a C or a D. Ultimately, I gave it a C. I don't think it really fits there in between, Batman and the Dark Knight, or Batman Begins and the Dark Knight. But, I thought the anime style that they did was pretty cool. They even actually used the anime skin in one of the Arkham games, maybe Arkham Knight, but I can't remember. Yeah, it definitely had the most.
I think it was Knight. I feel like Knight had all the skins.
I landed it as a C. I did like how they did a version of what was it? Shadows of the Dark Knight. Where they had the kids telling their stories about Batman.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
and they were all different.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the animated series did it better because they had, like different styles of Batman, like they had the Dark Knight Returns and a couple of others, but in this one there was like he was like a shadow, he was like a bat, he was like a mech, like a machine. Honestly, I think the coolest part about it was like their stories kind of lined up. Like they were telling like the same story from different points of view at different times throughout like the chase. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, I gave it a C. It was bordering there, on a C or a D. But I mean, if this was a like a letter grade, I'd definitely be giving it like a C minus.
For me, I gave it a D. I'm not an anime fan. I can appreciate things, and this will be seen as, but this is our opinions. I watched it when it first came out. I bought it, and I hated it because I was like, this is supposed to be like connected to the Batman Begins, blah blah blah. I was like, yay. No, I felt like if we examine the individual stories, it would be a different conversation. But as an overall, I don't like it, and I've never went back to it. I tried when Janine and I did our whole Batman thing over like 3 years building up to BVS. I can't. But as our group, I will put it as a C. I will average as a C. Now, this one. I did include this as one movie, even though it was technically released as 2 parts, because I feel like it was one movie just in 2 parts. The same will be with would be for the Long Halloween, but as of this recording, it has yet to be released as one film. But this is The Dark Knight Returns. Nate.
Well, what can I say about The Dark Knight Returns as RoboCop as Batman? Like that's just that is just the coolest thing. Like I said at the start of this the podcast, that my introduction to a lot of these movies and characters was mainly from the animated movies, not the book. And the fact that this came from a comic book, and obviously knowing what it is now, I still class. This is an all-time favorite animated movie. It's one of those ones I'll always go back to and watch at least once a year, back to back. Just the style, just listening to, it was hard initially when I first watched it, not listening to Kevin Conroy voice Batman itself, but listening, and Peter Weller actually voiced the character, and then the actual storyline itself, and then obviously we know what happened later on with Batman versus Superman. Zack Snyder obviously took parts of that comic book into his movie, and the battle scene between Batman and Superman at the end, and just the stuff that happened to Green Arrow, and to obviously Robin, and the story arc itself was absolutely amazing, and the animation style was perfect. I think that was taken right from the comic book, and
it was a perfect example of trying to take the comic style and adapt it to cartoon animation.
Yeah, exactly, and that was the whole idea of the DCAU. It was to take story arcs and actually make you watch it as if you're reading the comic book. And and as we pointed out before, Superman versus the Elite was a great movie, but the animation style was not straight from the comic book. And it's the same with some other movies we'll talk about coming up soon as well. But yeah, definitely an A for me. An outstanding movie, and something like I said, I constantly go back to, even though I'm a Superman fan. And yes, Superman is in the movie, but yeah, can't knock it at all.
All right. Would you break it as what
it's
letter?
an A. I mean, not enough is said about Peter
so.
Weller
James?
as a voice for Batman. He did a great job. I mean, some people might see this as blasphemy, but I mean, honestly, the book can be very wordy, dense read. Honestly, I think as a translation to a movie, like this is better and quicker. than reading the book. It's, and,
I
like you
agree.
said, the art style, kind of cleaning up Frank Miller's art and doing it the way they did. It's fantastic. I love The Dark Knight Returns, and I definitely, it's an A. It's one of my it's definitely on one of my rewatches. Anytime I would like to grab a movie, there's a few of them that you can always grab, and if you don't want to watch Superman or Justice League, that's definitely a top tier Batman one to pick, especially to watch it all together. And then Michael Emerson as the Joker.
He doesn't get enough praise for his performance as the Joker, because it's a calmer, dare I say, older, refined Joker. And I rate this as a B. I do think it does teeter on the A. I'm just not a huge fan of the story. I have my issues with it, but a lot of that's how I feel like Frank Miller treats Superman. But I do think it's a great interpretation from. I own
two copies of the book.
Out there.
I had one. I had one that I bought, and then Tyler sent me a gift. He sent me a hardcover collector's edition because I had a trade paperback. He sent me a hardcover edition that came with the deluxe edition of both movies put together on Blu-ray. So that was awesome. And that's how, yes, because he's awesome. So that's how I got it. And I wanted it for so long, and Tyler sent it to me, and I was like, thank you, dude. Like, this is awesome. Like, this is a fantastic gift. Yeah, right.
Because that's
canon.
What heroes do.
Canon.
Not saying that I'm a hero, but some people might classify me. That's for other people to say, not me. So we'll put this as an A. All right. So the next one is hopefully one that, Nate, you have seen. Batman Under the Red Hood.
Now, this is another one that I remember as soon as I bought it, I watched it straight away and absolutely loved it. Never, again, hadn't read the comic book. Haven't actually gone back to it since I watched it the first time around, but just loved the idea behind the whole movie. I love the fact that they brought on different voice actors again. The fact that Jensen Ackles was in there, as Jason Todd. Obviously after Smallville, knowing who that character was, it's like, oh, and now you obviously see him. His cosplay, I'm pretty sure, every now and again you see him turn up as
he does,
and stuff like that. So I thought that was fantastic, and just the what happens in the movie, that we think that, the death, and then the resurgence. Obviously, what happens with Red Hood himself and stuff. And I just thought it was an all around great movie. And like I said, I'd love to go back to it and rewatch it again. So I don't think I've watched it since I bought it, but I really enjoyed it.
Well, let me say that you need to go back and rewatch it. Yeah, it is. It's an A for me. And I rank it above The Dark Knight Returns. In that regard, it is one of my top favorite Batman movies, live action, animation, period. The story is so good. The story is so emotional. I read the comic some years later, and the comic's really good, but it's also different. They try to do more of a mystery in it, whereas with the movie, they definitely try to hit you with that emotion throughout. So it's not a very big mystery. Voice cast is great. Bruce Greenwood as Batman, he is so good. I love that he came back for Young Justice. Jensen Ackles as Jason Todd. I mean, just like, I love it. NPH as Nightwing, and Joe DiMaggio Joe DiMaggio's Joker, like, so good as well. Like, he is creepy. Yeah,
That's
and
another
then
Joker
just,
that
I
doesn't
mean,
get
that
Enough
that
talked about
scene
enough.
at the end, just knowing the entire story and like the pain and the failure that he feels, and then the thing he remembers is the first time Jason Todd goes out on patrol with him, and this is the greatest day of my life, and credits.
And that's
Like,
where I'm gonna
I well up every time.
and that's where I'm gonna take over Mitch. Mitch, that's where I'm gonna take over right here. What my friend's trying to say is, it's like a little old school reference. I agree completely with everything James just said about this movie. Bruce Greenwood is my second favorite Batman voice. I'm glad that he's done Young Justice. I wish he had done more. And yeah, there's not a lot. The only other thing I can point out with this is it was written by Judd Winnick, and he got to do with this movie more of what he wanted to do in the book, but the book got tied down with Infinite Crisis stuff, so things kind of got twisted and changed a little bit. Because I did read the book about 2 years ago. I bought the special Red Hood trade that's like under the Red Hood, but it's also like these lost files that fill in some of the gaps. Because Solomon got on a big Red Hood kick and loves the Red Hood for some reason. I even bought him the Lego movie that has the Red Hood in it. But yeah, it's an A.
Yeah, definitely, so Nate. Go back and rewatch that one. It is worth your time as a rewatch.
Yeah, like I said, I remember watching it. I absolutely loved it the first time I watched it, and that, like I said, the only reason I rated it a B is because I only remember watching it once, and like I said, it's in my collection. So
I got it when it first came out, and I have it on DVD. I need to get it on Blu-ray. Like, yeah, absolutely.
It is one I'd like to rebuy on Blu-ray. It was one when I worked at Blockbuster and it was out. I should have bought it used, but I was a broke college kid. But I played it a lot because we could play stuff there in store, and it was one I threw on a lot and would watch. And my manager liked it a lot too. So, all right. So the next movies, I'm going to group them together. Batman Unlimited, Animal Instinct, Mech vs. Mutant, and Monsters of Mayhem. You guys seen any of these?
No.
All right, good, because that just will move faster. I rank all of them a D, and I did it. I say this because I've watched them a couple times each. The Mech First Mutant is probably the better of them, and they are made for kids. But they're another thing of like the Batman Unlimited series was like these little couple-minute shorts that were on blips on Cartoon Network that you can find all on YouTube. I actually downloaded all the shorts and made it one file for Solomon to watch. And then they made 3 movies just like the Superhero Girls. And there's something there. Like I would pick watching the Superhero Girls over these. They're just kind of bland. Not that the performances aren't that great or the characters are some cool characters. There's just something about them that when you sit down to watch, you'll understand what I mean. So and I mean, I like kids movies just as much as anyone, so I can appreciate when things are made for kids.
I mean, I said no as in like,
but
no,
these are just
like I
never, dull.
They've been on my radar and I wanted to watch them, but they just weren't. I didn't have them. I didn't have the access to them. Now I think they're like on HBO Max, maybe.
I think they are. I found a collection of all 3, and I bought it for Solomon because we had got him at the library and he had dug it, and I end up buying all 3. And the one he goes to the most is the Mech vs. Mutant. So, see, Laura doesn't even like him.
Right.
She's telling you like, don't watch them, Daddy. Don't. She's like, don't waste your damn time. So the next one, The Batman versus Dracula. Nate, have you watched this one?
No, I haven't seen it, but only because I think I remember seeing, just pictures and like the actual video case itself, and just looking at it, going, I just can't picture this as a Batman movie. But I'm hoping I'm going to be found out to be incorrect. But we'll see.
So I started it, but I never got a chance
James?
to finish it. So I mean, it's on it. It's as an E on me here because I haven't finished it, and I've heard good things about it. And it's one I definitely want to check out, and hopefully maybe by this October spooky season, throw it in the rotation, try and watch it.
I agree. I'm going to average it here as a C. I threw it as a C. It was the first thing of the Batman I ever saw because I was in school when the show was airing. It was that weird time where there was a kids WB or there wasn't or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But at Blockbuster, we had this movie. And one night, because I got 10 free rentals a week, I was like, you know what? I'm going to check this out. It's Batman. And I watched it with a college dorm mate. And then later I bought it, and I bought it in another one of those Walmart packs where it was like 2 movies together. And I think it was like, it might have been like this and Batwoman together. It was a weird one it was paired with. I like it. It is darker, more serious. It is worth checking out, especially, Halloween time. And it is a little dark with the whole vampire thing.
Yeah, I constantly
haven't
got
watched it in a
pulled
couple
away
years,
from it, so I didn't get to watch it. So, I saw that the Joker was in there doing his thing. I saw Dracula. I saw a lot of blood, but that's about it.
All right. On the opposite flip side of this, Batman: Return of the Cape Crusader. Nate.
So this one and Batman vs. Two-Face again is on my to watch list. It's something going back to I used to love watching this Batman 66 on TV. I used to come home of an afternoon and just watch the episodes here and there, and even as an adult, just watching them even here and there, and just watching them for what they were, and absolutely loving them. And I really wanted to watch these as an animated, just because I also brought back the voice actors, and I think just before Batman vs. Two-Face, I think.
Yeah, not too long after he finished his work, his recordings for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the other reason why I really want to get to watch both of these. And so, again, I just want to hear your take on these movies and if they're worth actually watching. Because going back to like I said, the '66 series, I reckon they'd be a lot of fun, a lot of excitement to watch, and yeah.
I'm going to say this: anything on our ranking that's a C is worth watching. There just might be something in there that's like not gelling with maybe me or you or James. If it's on a D or below, don't waste your time. I'm just going to say that for just a generalization.
Batman: Return of the Cape Crusaders.
Now, James, your turn. And
I rank it as a B. It is awesome. We got the actors back to play these characters. It's like a sequel to the Batman 66 movie. In very much so in that regard. I've only seen Two-Face once, but I've definitely watched Return of the Cape Crusaders probably twice. It's very good. It's very fun. It's very nostalgic. I think there's a couple of image rights issues, so there's a couple of tweaks in it, but otherwise it feels like you're watching Batman 66 again. You should definitely check it out.
I highly recommend Batman Cape Crusader. I rank it as a B. I'm not always been the biggest fan of the Adam West series, but it's definitely a great follow-up to Batman 66, the movie. And same thing with what James said. Now, just following with that continuity, James, what do you think
there
of
was
Batman
some
and Two-Face?
I really want to see it again. I mean, William Shatner as the voice for Harvey Dent was cool. What they did with him was interesting. It was kind of different. They had a couple of more Batman 66 like villain cameos in it. Overall, I mean, it was very much more of like an original story out of it, as opposed to like this one being so like nostalgic. So I want to see it again. I've only watched it the one time. I mean, I don't have a whole lot to say about it. Yeah, that's really it right now, you know?
I like the Batman and Two-Face one a little less than this one. There's just something a little off, but it's cool to see Two-Face, being that it's my favorite Batman villain, and I rank that one as a C. But it's definitely worth watching, especially how they do some cool stuff. And off the top of my head, I can't remember which one does the fun thing with the Catwomen. It might be the Two-Face, or it might be the Return of the Caped Crusaders. The way they weave in both Julie Newmar and Lee Merriweather. So, all right. So now, The Killing Joke. Nate, did you watch The Killing Joke?
Yes, I certainly have. So I don't know what happened over in the States, but in Australia, they actually put this on the big screen over here. I didn't get a chance to see it on the big screen, and there was a big hype when it came out here, obviously from the comic book. So once it came out on Blu-ray, I was, second in line to buy the movie. And let's just say, and many people probably agree or disagree with me, I was very disappointed with the movie. Actually, it was very confusing. There was a lot of, I think they did, there's a lot of parts of the book they could have used to make that, people understand the movie a lot more. Like, I did obviously love the idea that they brought back Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill to voice the Joker. That was probably the saving grace in some aspects, but unfortunately for me, The Killing Joke is a D. Having watched it not too long ago, actually, for another podcast that I was lucky to be on to talk about it, I think, even in that discussion, all of us were pretty much on the same agreements that it wasn't what it was hyped up to be when it came out and was released.
Well, so I have The Killing Joke ranked as a C. I think they should have done like a long short, done it in 40 minutes. And done it that way and just kind of did the story, because that last 45 minutes, which comes from the comic, is really good. I
had to make my own edit.
I mean, the beginning's just so Bruce Timm, and the weird Bruce Timm, how he's gotten, like. I mean, you had hints of that back in the old animated universe.
Yeah.
But so the beginning, and I understand why it was done, to kind of give you a history of Batgirl and kind of give you something to care about. And honestly, I think it was also there to inject a bit of drama, like. Not drama, a bit of something for Batman to think about and consider. Like, did Joker go after her because she's Batgirl? When, the only reason he went after her was because of Gordon. it had nothing to do with her being Batgirl or a connection to Batman. So I think it was kind of like inserting a level of uncertainty in there for Batman, just like one layer there. But I mean, the Batgirl stuff, like the way she is kind of really cool, and the action that she performs is really cool. But like the Paris Franz and the rooftop scene, I mean, it does drag it down. It can very well go without it. And you know, I do disagree, and I think I might have said it before. I do disagree with a lot of people who are like he's a father figure to her. Like, well, no, he may be a mentor, but he is not a father figure. She has a father. Like, that's totally different. He is not a father figure to her. So, I mean, if that's the route they wanted to take, I mean, it's a possible route that people could take, but I don't think a lot of people would be interested in. So I think that take is completely, you know, like that take makes no sense. Like, that's not something that is valid when people say like he's a father to her. That's weird. That's disgusting. Da 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 da. No, that's not it. Like, she's not an orphan girl that he took in and made a ward. Like, that doesn't apply. But all in all, it still does not really belong or add to it.
You know, I will just say I like the idea of the prologue part of trying to give you something for Batgirl. I feel like the story they told didn't really fit in. I think they could have found maybe something in the Killing Joke to make her involved with beforehand, or added something a little bit more at the beginning that made it feel part of the story. It felt very tacked on. The rooftop scene was horrible because Batman
Heroes
would never
don't do that.
Period. And I will argue with Bruce Timm all day about that because I feel like it's disrespectful to Jim Gordon as well. I could see Barbara having a thing for Batman, but Batman Bruce would not do that. But yeah, I like the Killing Joke story for just the ambiguity of how it ends, for just the idea that this is a version of the Joker's origin, but it really is a dark story. And I feel like they could have done a little bit more just focusing on that. And like you said, it could have been one of those long shorts where the Batgirl thing could have been a short on its own, like the way they release shorts with a couple other shorts attached to it. And I think that would have been a better release. So we're going to go with C. All right. Deathstroke.
Yes. Yes, I have.
Dragon Knight movie. Anybody seen it? Nate, seen it?
Not on the watch list.
It was weird because it was like one of those, it wasn't connected to like the CW, but it came out like on the CW seed.
Okay.
It was weird. Like, I don't know if it was supposed to originally be like a story about the Deathstroke we had on Arrow or not, but it was very like, it wasn't part of these animated film continuity type things. It was one of those side things.
I mean, I gave it a D.
So James, you go for it.
It's very standalone. The level, like the animation level was a little low. Just because I think it was produced for the CW seed. And I think they were trying to do, well, there's a lot more action involved in it than, say, like your Constantine City of Demons. City of Demons, there's a lot of dialogue and a lot of hand waving and a lot of magic. So, I think it's probably a little cheaper, you know what I mean, than trying to put together these elaborate action scenes. I think that's where it may have drug it down. It kind of just, the story kind of drug on a little bit. And, it was kind of giving you an introduction, like, it was like what he's doing and then what's happened in the past. Like, I know we get another scene of Jericho kind of getting his throat slit like we did in Titans. So, kind of not very memorable. I don't remember a whole lot about it, so that's why it's a D.
I agree. And now we'll just move on. Green Lantern, Emerald Knights. Nate, you seen it?
Yeah, I remember this coming out because I bought the one we're going to talk about afterwards. The first flight, and I thought this is going to be really exciting. And Nathan Fillion's one of my favorite actors. I love, Firefly and Castle and all that sort of stuff. And
Amen.
The fact that he was going to voice Green Lantern, and I don't know what it is, but there's something I've always wanted to see him. Always wanted to see Nathan Fillion as the live action Booster Gold.
Yep, I can see that.
But I've always wanted to see that. Now going back to this, if I remember correctly, it's almost very similar to Batman.
Yeah, it's like an anthology story.
Story arc.
Yep.
And yeah, and I again, it was one of those movies that I enjoyed it for what it was. And I think the voice acting actually boosted it up. It was Nathan Fillion, like I said, and Jason Isaacs as well coming in as Sinestro. But I just like to watch a movie from start to finish. I think those different story arcs and stuff like that, that's just not for me. So I give this one a C.
I'm just going to say I give it a C as well, because my thing is I've seen it, but I don't remember it. Like, it just doesn't stay with me. So that's been my big thing.
I ranked it as a B.
Stay with me. James, your turn.
It was, the voice cast was really good. The anthology story, it was kind of cool because, they were telling a new recruit about some of the historical Green Lanterns. So, I remember the story of the first Green Lantern was really cool, was really interesting. It's just been a while since I've seen it. But I do remember that they had some really good stories. I remember the story of... No, that was in the animated series. Yeah, I think that was in the animated series. But maybe it's a C, because that's the two I really remember. Is the first Green Lantern, and then the new recruit and how she proved her worth in the end.
All right. So riding the Green Lantern wave, let's take it back to Nate and First Flight.
Yeah, I definitely remember watching this one when it first came out as well, and obviously the origin story of Hal Jordan, and I really enjoyed this movie. There was a lot of action, like I said, same as we were saying before, Tyler, with about Emerald Knights. I can remember parts of it, but I can't remember the whole movie. But I just remember, after watching, I did enjoy it. And then leading into the live action Green Lantern movie, I'm going, okay, yep, we know where we're going to go, and yep, we'll know what happened there. But I still enjoyed it for what it was. Obviously, different voice cast, which I found interesting. The fact that when they did the Emerald Knights, they just decided to change everybody. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie, and I was hoping for it's a move on. It was obviously different going from this. I'm watching this after watching Justice League Unlimited with Jon Stewart, and the fact that they brought Hal Jordan in, and then later on with some of the Justice League movies, they got rid of Jon Stewart and brought Hal Jordan into the Justice League movie. So it was interesting where they were going at this stage of the DCAU. But yeah, I gave it a B overall.
So First Flight I have is an A.
James?
I mean, it's at the moment, and it could just be because it's new. It's a toss up between this and the new Green Lantern movie, which I would prefer as my favorite Green Lantern movie. Just because it's just been so long since I've seen First Flight. But I do remember that it was really good. The buddy cop story that they had going on with him and Sinestro, you get to see Sinestro turn, and then Hal Jordan take up the fight, and it's really good, and I'm due for a rewatch.
I'm just gonna jump in right here. I had it as a B. So we're gonna average it here as a B. After our conversation about the new one, I'm going to go back and rewatch this one as well. I do remember really liking it. Christopher Maloney
I think it would be really
Hal.
good to watch, to rewatch First Flight and then watch the new one. You know, and kind of see.
I agree. Hint, hint, Nate. If you decide to watch the new one, beware my power. Watch First Flight, then watch it, and you might understand what we're cryptically talking about. Now, this next block, we're going to kind of talk about, this is all dear to our hearts. We're going to kind of talk about it together and separate. And I did it this way because it's the death of Superman, the reign of the Supermen, and the death and return of Superman. And I put it on there because the death of Superman and the reign of the Superman are one story, but they're two distinctively different movies. There's different directors. It's not like The Dark Knight Returns where it's one story, one director chopped in half. There is a different tonal feel. The scripts were written by different people as well. So I wanted to kind of evaluate the individual parts, and because they released it as one, how that works as one. So we're going to start with Nate, the death of Superman.
So to me, this is like the ultimate, DCAU movie. You go back to like when the DCAU animated movie started, you go back to Mask of the Phantasm back in the early 90s, or late 90s, sorry. But the DCAU really started like with the Superman Doomsday, and obviously we'll talk about that movie later on. And I don't think they did that movie, the movie did it justice to what the comic book was. So when they actually did the death and the reign of Superman, I think, they did it better. I think the fact that they had to break it down into two separate movies, and I think what they did was an absolute great job. The death of Superman itself was phenomenal. The fact that they brought in the Justice League, it wasn't just a Superman story. And Doomsday from the start, very different to Superman and Lois, where we all thought it was Doomsday, but it was Bizarro. But anyway, long story short. But yeah, just I absolutely loved it from start to finish. Just the fight scene, the animation style. Especially in this genre of the movies that they had, the New 52 variants. Jerry O'Connell voicing Superman, and all those voice actors coming back to do the Justice League side of things. I think they did a great job. And like I said, it's an A for me for the death of Superman.
So you know how in video games you get a letter score, and you know how you're always trying to achieve that S rank. Like if we had an S rank on this tier, this is where the death of Superman would sit.
The blank templates have the S rank, but I just readjusted it because I wanted an E rank for certain movies I think are pure garbage. Okay. Because I couldn't add a tier, but I could read.
Yeah, I mean,
but I agree with you. So
I really enjoyed Jerry O'Connell as Superman. Since they brought him in as Superman from the Throne of Atlantis, and on. He was Superman through the rest of that animated universe. He did he's great.
Superman
he's great.
I
really do liked him. They had Rebecca Romaine as Lois. The voice cast. They brought in Doomsday early. He trekked across country. In the death of Superman, Doomsday does plow through the Justice League, but at the time, it's like a C-tier Justice League. So the people they had at the time in the book, it's like, you really wished that if they did something with this, of this magnitude, that it was like your heavy hitters of the Justice League. who are getting plowed through by Doomsday. I mean, such a great movie. The fights, the way Doomsday faces off against everybody. The way that the fight against Wonder Woman was so good. Doomsday versus Wonder Woman. And then the fight between the knockdown, drag out fight that Superman and Doomsday have in that movie. Just all over the city, destroying everything in their path. The way that Superman saves people, while trying to, where he gets in between people and Doomsday. And Doomsday just keeps coming at him no matter what. The Reeve Superman callbacks, the Snyder Superman callbacks, like the amalgamation they did in that movie. It is one of the best Superman movies, live action or animated.
And it really, I give it an A. I said that, but it really helps that it was in continuity.
Yes.
That's what really helped bring weight to this. Instead of just trying to thrust a Superman at us and everything. All right, so now, Nate, Reign of the Supermen.
Yeah, this one, I don't think it ranked up as high as the Death of Superman for me, but I still ranked it as an A, just for the continuation of the story. I love the fact that, like I said, this one, paralleled the comic book itself, bringing back, Hank Henshaw, Superboy, the Eradicator, and still, we got to see those characters, and that's what we missed in, Superman Doomsday. Like, I love the fact that they brought these characters. I love the voice actors who brought them to life, so to speak. And again, just the continuation of the story and where we finished at the end. With Superman, obviously, surprise, surprise, coming back alive. But yeah, the story arc itself, or where it went, it basically started exactly where it ended in the Death of Superman, and just continued on. And I think in the comic books, it almost went for a year before they actually brought the Man of Steel back. So it was just one of these ones that we knew he was going to be coming back. But I like the fact that it took a little while even in the movie to bring Kal-El back to life. And when he did, the fight scene between himself and Hank Henshaw, and just the the storyline behind Hank, the fact that he blames Superman for his death. He basically idolized the Man of Steel, and when he was about to die, he goes, "No, Superman will save me," and that's where his hatred for the Man of Steel came from. And but I love the storyline. Like I said, I think the Death of Superman actually beats this. If you're going to rank them in the A,
well, I mean, not that it's any, I don't even know. I ranked it a B, because like it's still really good. I thought it was great. The way they use the Eradicator as a protector. I like this stuff with John Henry Irons. Some of the kind of technical changes they gave to his suit. Cameron Monaghan as Superboy. The way that they fused the voices of Hank Henshaw and Jerry O'Connell. I can't remember the actor's name, but the way that they fused those voices for when he was talking, and as it progressively went on, Hank Henshaw's voice started to come over Jerry O'Connell's. Like, it started first Jerry O'Connell's voice, and then it started to Hank Henshaw's voice was coming out more, and in the end it was all him. The idea that so in the continuity they used Superman's DNA from when they had him from Justice League War, from when Desaad had him on Apocalypse, to create the Doomsday weapon. and sent it to Earth to kill him. Bringing kind of Darkseid as this bigger overarching villain of the whole thing, but still focusing on Cyborg Superman as the main villain, as he was in the comics at the Return of Superman. So, yeah, I mean, I just gave it a B because, Death is an A, this is a B, and it's a B plus, maybe an A minus.
I'm going to be the odd man out here. I gave it a C because I agree with everything you just said, but there's something in the way the story is written and put together that I don't go to this one that often. I'll watch The Death, which is like a heart-wrenching experience for me. And I think it has to do a lot with the writing. You have two different writers on it. And the writer, his name escapes me. He would later go on to write Man of Tomorrow, who wrote Reign, and Death of Superman was written by Peter Tomasi. But, for our average, we'll put it as a B. But I agree with what James said. I just feel like something's an off in it, where I just feel like it just doesn't have this much of as the quality. But
yes,
it does end with our favorite Superman suit, so that was nice. Now, what do you guys quick think on the combined version? Have you watched it put together, Nate?
Not as yet. I haven't purchased it as a complete set. But obviously, watching them back to back. Do they do anything different when they bring the movies together? Is there any added scenes that I've?
Oh, it's very minimal. Like the way they cut the scenes of like the tease of the other Superman that's at the end of Death are just a little bit longer. Okay. And those are at the end, to bridge into the second movie. And I think there's might be like one or two other little things, but nothing that really pops out that they added to make the movie something more. And I've watched it, as one movie a couple of times. And I mean, it feels seamless, but at the same time, you do feel a shift.
If Death is an S and Reign of Superman is a B, the Death and Return is an A. So it's just an A. It elevates the Reign of the Superman. It only adds up to, a handful, a dozen, 10, 20 seconds worth of extra stuff in there. It's just a couple of little quick things, but it is different. So when you watch The Dark Knight Returns, exactly where the first part ends and the second part begins. There is nothing. It is just a straight into the second part, minus credits and all that stuff. You know what I mean? But in this one, because of those post-credit scenes, teasing the Supermen, they add those in. They're in kind of a different order. I think there's some sort of voiceover or something. And then, like I said, there's a couple of those little added bits in there. But the way that it flows, it actually it's merged into one movie better than just, like Joker saying "darling" and then it fades to black and then you get the next start. You know what I'm saying? So it is a more seamless transition between movies. It's a cohesive movie together.
Okay.
All right. So staying with our man Superman, we got Superman, Man of Tomorrow. Nate.
Yeah. I've only watched this the once, and I did buy it as soon as it came out because I was really excited about watching this new version of because they've gone past obviously the new 52 variant, and they've gone to this new version of all the DCAU movies. And I did enjoy it. I really did. I like the fact that they brought in, because we hadn't seen Parasite before, other than in the animated series. I like the fact that they brought, him in. I love to see Lobo. Like, who doesn't? And the fact that I thought he was dead towards the end of the movie, and I just, it was kind of like an origin story in there as well. And I enjoyed it as a whole. It was a good movie to watch. Was it my favorite Superman animated movie? No, but I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to what they're going to bring in the future. So overall, I gave it a B.
This is Man of Tomorrow,
right. And James.
I put Man of Tomorrow as an A. I mean, no, it's not my favorite Superman movie. But I will definitely watch it at any time. I kind of like how they expanded the universe. It's not just Superman and Lex Luthor, or Superman and Parasite. They brought in Lobo. They brought in Martian Manhunter. They tease some other cosmic type things. So it's part of how I think part of my enjoyment is with this new continuity, is they're always bringing in more characters, and they're always teasing a larger world that exists and turns and things happen, whether you see them on screen or not. An 8 out of 10, sure.
An 8 or an A, not an 8. Jesus. And Nate, you said a B.
Yeah, B. Yep.
I put a B as well. I really like this one actually. I think it's a great start. I just thought of something. James will talk off mic about something that you mentioned about that movie that makes me think about things for upcoming movies. My negative is I think they made Parasite really weird at the end, where he basically became looking like Roland Emmerich's Godzilla, and he has no feet. I think that was a little crazy. I liked it. It's kind of small in scale. It's not Superman starting some sort of massive alien invasion. I really like that angle, actually. And I like the writing. And once again, it's the same writer as Reign of the Supermen. It's good, but there's just like one thing off I can't peg of just the writing or pacing or something. So, all right. So we're going to rank that as a group as B. The next movie, I hope we don't talk about very long. I'm going to throw it out there. Nate, Injustice, what do you got?
Yeah, it's a D for me. Like, to me personally, like, going back to, like, I remember when I bought the game when it first came out. I've never read the comic books of these ones either. But from all reports, that they're a good read. The storyline itself, from the comic books, from the video game, I actually almost like, if I remember correctly, they actually almost did like an animated movie on YouTube just from the game itself.
Oh, it is.
Was more enjoyable than watching
it is.
It is. It is. I don't want to waste my breath on this. So I didn't mean to cut you off, Nate. I'm sorry.
No, you're right, mate. I'm more than happy to move forward, but yeah, it's a D for me, unfortunately. It's not what I was hoping for. I was excited for Justin Hartley to come in, obviously, from a love of Smallville, but other than that, yeah, it's a D for me, unfortunately.
I feel bad for the voice cast of Justin Hartley and Anson Mount. I'm just going to jump in real quick, James. I'm going to say it's an E. I put it as an E because I think it's pure crap. And other than that, go listen to mine and James's review if you want to hear more of my thoughts on it. Because we dissected it and talked a lot about what it could have been, but also what they did wrong and how they just made it a bad movie, first of all, and a bad adaptation of a storyline. So for me, it's an E. Peace, James.
Yeah, it's a D. I put it as a D. It's very well, might as well just be an E. I mean, kind of all that, you know. You said, Nate, you haven't read the books. I definitely recommend the books. You know, there's a layer in the books where you get to experience Superman's fall, you know. He's not just a bad guy in the book, you know. You experience an emotional fall. You see him break, and you see him spiral, you know. So it's not just one thing and now he's a tyrant, you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of bad decisions that people have made even towards him and stuff, which you see a little bit in the movie, but in the movie it just happens so fast. In this movie, it just happens so fast. You just don't get that. It should have been a two-parter, you know, and done so much better. There is a lot of emotional beats, and the Injustice storyline in the comics, I mean, they're able to encompass the overall DC universe, as it were, you know, the way that each year kind of works with different groupings of heroes and villains. So yeah, I mean, like I said, like Tyler said, he feels bad for Justin Hartley and Anson Mount, because they both did a really good job as Superman and Batman, and they got a crap movie.
I'm just going to say this. I own every one of these movies that's on here. Some of them I have like digital, like I got a digital copy of them. This one I bought in 4K because it was actually cheaper. And if I could return it, I would have. Like, I don't even want to keep it in my collection of stuff on my shelf to actually have. Because, like, I'm a big on physical copies and, you know, keeping stuff and trying to collect everything in some form for representation and having it. This one I would just like to pretend like it didn't exist. All right. Justice League Doom. Nate. Awesome. Nate's seen it. Yes.
This is one of those go-to movies that if I really want, if there's nothing on, and one of those ones when I was a kid, I actually found it hard to sleep. So having some sound in the background actually was good. But the problem with this one is I always want to actually stay awake and watch it. I actually really enjoy this movie. Also, the fact that, you know, Batman's got a plan if the Justice League goes rogue. Like, how awesome is that? And, you know, just watching
how Batman.
You know, and just watching, you know, from start to finish this movie. I just can't say how much fun it is watching this. Like, it's not, to me, it's not the best Justice League animated movies going around. But for what it is, for the enjoyment of it, I love the voice acting. You know, the voice actors come back as well from the you know, the animated series. You know, just the continuity. I wouldn't say continuity, but, you know, introducing Cyborg as well into the mix as well, which we haven't seen before. You know, I think Nathan Fillion was Green Lantern here as well. So yeah, and I just enjoyed it for what it was. And overall, I gave it a B.
Doom is an A for me.
All right.
I really liked this one. I really liked how Batman had a plan for each member of the Justice League, and he stresses his plan was to incapacitate and capture each member of the Justice League, and how his plans were adapted and changed to kill all the members of the Justice League. And then in the end, he's very Batman. He says, if you can't see that, then I don't belong here. And, you know, Superman says, you had all these plans to take us down. And he said, what was your plan for you? And Batman says, the Justice League. And then Superman hands him over the kryptonite, because even though he had these plans to stop all of them, he's giving him the weapon in case that is necessary. It's great. I think it is a very good movie.
I agree. I'm just going to echo. It's one actually that Solomon really likes. It's kind of like one of his default movies when it comes to like these DC animated movies.
Yeah.
He really likes it because it has the cascade of villains as well. With Bane.
Yeah, I didn't
being
even
there and Cheetah,
mention
and we have
that. Yeah,
kind
they're
of the
really
intro
good.
to
I
Cyborg.
like how there's a villain for each of them, and then we got Vandal Savage as the main bad.
And we had and the voice cast is held over from the animated series minus like you said, Nathan Fillion is Green Lantern, not doing the Jon Stewart role. So it's an A. So we're gonna rank it as ours as an A together. Now, Justice League Flashpoint Paradox. Nate.
I actually really love this movie. It's one of those movies in this new, going past Justice League War, in its variant. I never actually read the again. I know it's a broken record, but I never read the comic book. But and obviously, rumors and innuendos going on. This is what the new Flash movie is going to be. Very similar, but we'll just have to wait and see. Especially with all the rumors going on about that movie. But yeah,
soon I'll be cast as the Flash and James will be Batman. I'll bring you on, Nate, as Alfred, or if you want to be Green Lantern, we'll throw you in there, buddy.
I mean, I could be Captain Boomerang. I think that's the only Aussie.
All right, cool.
I'm just trying to think of an Aussie villain or an Aussie superhero, but yeah, I think Captain Boomerang is probably the only Aussie spoken. So we'll do that. This movie I really enjoyed. I love the story arc, obviously with Barry Allen. They brought that into the Flash TV series as well. Going back and try to save his mother, and then then we see Bruce Wayne's father, as Batman in this this ultimate timeline, so to speak, and they had the perfect opportunity to do this in the Snyderverse, and they blew it. I believe personally, anyway. And just what happens, when we see, the Man of Steel in this storyline, and there's variants of that was taken into the Snyderverse as well. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie as a whole, and for me, this was an A. It's just one of those ones I'll go back to as well. This is one of the only of the newer versions of the animated films that I will watch over and over again, and an A for me.
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
Say James.
No, it's Justice League Flashpoint Paradox is an A for me as well. It is an awesome story. It's a very good movie. The cast, the way they do everything, and then as the continuity progressed and you got more, you got a couple of callbacks to it by the end, by Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, it actually makes you appreciate it even more, as this is what started everything. This is how the world, this is how this world kind of came to be. And yeah, I just think it's very good. It's very emotional. I mean, the only thing that I think is really off is the animation at the very beginning of the Justice League. Like, they're like, we're only using them for like 2.5 minutes, so don't worry about it. Just get them done, And then, but the rest of the movie looks great. The rest of the whole movie is acted very well. I mean, this story brought in Thomas Wayne, Batman, who now is in the, who is still sticking around in the comics these days. Yeah, he's in a world that's not supposed to exist anymore. So, as a movie, yeah, it's an A. I think it is very well done, and it's got that emotional impact as well. And that's what a lot of these top tier movies have.
I ranked it as a B, and as a collective, we'll put it as a B. I agree with everything you just said. One of my things about this is I like how at the end of the film they do try to change the animation a little bit to look more like it will be with the New 52 style. One thing I do think that's sad, that's a negative, is that you have Justin Chambers voicing Barry in this film. And when we start with the continuity in War, it's Christopher Golem Smith. Is that? I'm trying to remember. I think that's. Yep. I think. And what do you call it? I just I'm looking something up real quick here because we get C. Thomas Howell as Thawne, which appears later again. Kevin Conroy's Batman Bruce Wayne. You know, the voice cast on here is a really great voice cast. But it's funny because Nathan Fillion is Green Lantern in this, not in Justice League War.
Jerry O'Connell,
but then much
or Rosario Dawson.
What do you call it? Jerry O'Connell. Yeah, starting with Thrones of Atlantis, he is Green Lantern throughout, you know? So that's kind of my only negative is the fact that we didn't have the new voice cast in place.
Right. And then when you think about it, in the overall Justice continuity that was, it's the only solo Flash movie. And it's not quite a solo. It's the only Flash movie where Flash is the main character.
I will say this. Quick story. When this movie came out, I actually did tweet at Jay Oliva and say, great job. I really love it, but I think you did a great Flash. I'd love to see a solo Flash movie. And he tweeted back like, this is a Flash movie. And I was like, yeah, but you know, like one where he's not surrounded by everybody else. The good old days. Not really, but whatever. All right. Justice League, Crisis on Two Earths. Now, quick story about this movie. This movie story idea was originally supposed to be an animated movie that they were going to do as a direct-to-video that was going to bridge the gap between Justice League and Justice League Unlimited.
Yep.
So there's similarities between the two, but then when they did this film, they kind of retweaked the script a little bit. So, Nate.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that as well. And I think back in the day, I looked into it a little bit more, but I can't remember exactly. But yeah, you're 100% correct. I think they even talk about it in some of the directors' footage in the Justice League. In the movie itself, I'm pretty sure the snippets they actually speak about that as well. But for the movie itself, I did enjoy it. I had fun watching it. It's not one of those movies where it didn't reach my total expectations. I must admit, this is the first time I watching the Justice League and a totally different voice cast, so that was very hard to watch initially. But once I got my head around the whole, you know, George Newbern and Tim Daly's not always going to be my animated Superman. Kevin Conroy's not always going to be my Batman, and all that. You know, Susan Eisenberg's not going to be my Wonder Woman. Once I got my head around all that, I actually enjoyed the movie for what it was. I actually loved the music as well. Just remembering back to it at the start, especially the start, the intros. That's the one thing that I remember. The start of these movies. When they started, the intros to these movies were actually fantastic. I forgot to mention that earlier. And even Superman Doomsday, when we get to that eventually, the start of that was actually a bit of an intro to my podcast at one stage. So that's how much I enjoyed that intro. But yeah, like I said, going back to the voice cast, like, you know, Mark Harmon from NCIS was Batman. Superman, and you know, and William Baldwin was Batman, and you got James Woods as Owlman, and you know, just those sort of, you know, iconic voices and people from movies and television, and I find it ironic though that William Baldwin's Batman in this one, and obviously they're not related, but obviously you got the other Baldwin who's voicing Superman in Doomsday. But yeah,
True.
I do like the idea of this one. Very different, Crisis on Infinite Earths. I still want to see that as an animated movie moving forward. I think there is rumors out there in the ethosphere that they are going to do that eventually, and that'd be great to see. But obviously, that's a very big adventure that they need to do. They'll probably have to break it over 3 different movies, I'd imagine. But yeah, just the fact that going to another Earth, fighting against the crime syndicate, going against the ultimate versions of themselves. Even at the start of the movie with Lex Luthor, coming across to Earth Prime, and he's in the police cell, so to speak, and he's basically naked, and Superman walks straight in and go, "This is not our Lex Luthor. How can you tell? Well, all his organs are on the opposite side."
And the Flash shows up and gives the best line. Whoa! They call me the Flash.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so it was just one of those movies I really enjoyed, and it had a bit of tear factor as well. At the end where the Flash's alter ego, Batman actually it tricks him into saying that to Barrett, is it Wally in this universe? Wally, you're not fast enough, and gets his alter ego, version of the Flash to actually basically kill himself to actually save the day. So, like I said, I enjoyed this movie for what it was. Like I said at the time, I didn't enjoy it as much as I liked, but actually watching it over in time, it is a really enjoyable movie. Like great voice acting, the storyline itself was really enjoyable. And
I haven't seen it in so
right,
long.
James?
So it is the problem. That's why it's a C on my list, is because I really haven't seen it in so long. But I remember everything. Like I remember everything about this movie. I watched it so many times. It was really good to see everybody flipped, everybody as an opposite version of themselves. Not even just the crime syndicate, but all of the other people they had. All the made men. The voice cast was great. Like even Baldwin as Batman. I liked him really well. James Woods, Owlman was really good. The fights between the characters, everybody using their powers to each other. And then I think, in my opinion, this is more of a Batman. This is more of a truer Batman than I think we see a lot of the time. Who, like, when it comes down to it, like when the hard decision has to be made, he will make that hard decision, like getting Johnny Quick to vibrate and kill himself to save the universe, to save all of reality. Sending Owlman to a frozen wasteland of Earth where nobody would be harmed and reality wouldn't be destroyed when his bomb goes off to destroy that Earth. Like, this is a Batman, that's who I think Batman is and who he's capable of being, Mark Harmon's Superman, I thought he did a really good job. I like the storyline of Martian Manhunter being the President Slade Wilson's daughter's Secret Service bodyguard. Like, yeah, it was, and then the beginning, you get the Jester, you get a version of the Joker and Lex Luthor going into the crime syndicate tower. Like, yeah, it was really, I always loved this movie, and it's something I'm going to have to revisit now, after so long.
I rank it as a B. I teetered on a C, but for all the things that you said, I put it as a B. It's just one I never really go back to, and I don't really have the drive or desire to really go back to. I find the voice cast good, but there's no one in it that I really love. Like, it doesn't stick with me. It's just one that I've seen, and other than that opening line with the Flash, it's not one that I'm like, oh man, this is a great one to throw on. If I had to reach between this,
I think
Doom,
there's
Doom,
I think also that it came out at a time when I was reading a lot of Elseworlds stuff. You know what I mean? Like, and not just like single Elseworlds books, like things that were pretty broad. Like seeing these characters imagined in a different way. At the time when it came out, I think I was really into that. Just seeing them imagined in a different way. So I think that really fueled my love for it at the time.
All right. Next film we're almost done with part 1, guys. Justice Society World War II. The second film of the new continuity. Nate.
I actually have seen this.
Yes.
It was funny though. Like when it first came out, I was, do I watch it? Do I not? But I thought, no, it's DC movie. I have to watch it.
Good thought.
After I watched it, I actually really enjoyed it. It's funny. I think James was talking about it before. There wasn't really a solo Flash. This is almost. It's not obviously the Flash paradox, but it's almost like this is its own version of the Flash paradox. The fact that instead of going to an alternate universe, he actually goes back in time. And I like the fact that it starts off obviously in this new version of the DCAU. Obviously, we've got the new Superman, fighting. Actually, I didn't ask you guys. What do you think of the Superman costume in this new series?
I like it.
Yeah, no, I don't have any gripes with it. I'm not mad that they brought the
it.
trunks back
Same.
for it.
I like it more than the 52 actually. Yeah, and I actually like when they go back to World War II. They did the same thing back in Justice League as well, and that was fantastic. And I think it was a 3-part episode or a 2-parter they did in the Justice League animated series as well when they went back to World War II. And it's always good going back there. Obviously, Wonder Woman, in her prime back then with Steve Trevor, and just the relationship between the two characters and that. And I can't, even though, like I said, I watched this not too long ago, I can't 100% remember exactly everything that happened in that movie. It was just something that I have to watch probably a couple more times to get my head around a lot. But I did enjoy it. Like I said, it was one of those movies I was a bit, do I or don't I? But I just thought, no, it's DC, I have to watch it. And I'm glad that I did. And for that, Malone?
So I gave Justice Society World War II an A. It really fits in, it's again with the new continuity where so many characters are brought in. There's such a broader world that's there. Like the Flash believes he time traveled, but he actually went to another Earth. He went to a parallel Earth where like time is different. So it's like World War II on that Earth. And that's where it's kind of like Earth 2, where Jay Garrick is the Flash. Yeah. And
that's how I explained it.
And in that Earth, like Superman wasn't Superman. He was a reporter, and he wasn't trying to be Superman. And one of the things that they do is, because I believe that's the one where Kamandi was the animated short on it, and that animated short actually like fits into this because Kamandi is the person who has the suit to bring back for Superman, and that's how Superman gets the suit for when and then he jumps, he leaps from plane to plane, destroying them. He doesn't fly. He's not flying through them and everything. So, it was really good. I liked the cast of characters. They visited Atlantis. They had some things happening, and then they had Canary and Hawkman. It's a very broad world. And then the way it starts with the Flash, and he kind of goes and he helps out Superman, which is the Superman from Man of Tomorrow. And then when he comes back, he reappears right at that same moment, and he takes down Brainiac at the moment. So I really like how there's this ever expanding, broader world.
All right. Well, I mean, I can't really say more than what James said, but I like that this was the movie. Like, I give it an A. I rewatched it just recently when I was doing my quick rewatch to get ready for Green Lantern. And I liked this movie at the beginning, having Superman prove that they were going to do a new continuity. So, yeah. I will just say that. And we can keep on trucking. All right. So we got a couple more. This one we'll see if anyone's seen. The Ray. Have you guys watched The Ray?
No. I've seen it in we've got a JB Hi-Fi over here. That's where I do most of my shopping. I've seen it, but I've never actually.
I've wanted to check it out. It's supposed to take place on that Earth from Earth X. I haven't seen it though, so.
I'm gonna say this. I put it as a D. I just couldn't get into it. Like, it just feels off, and that's going to be kind of a spoiler alert, a theme of the CW, like, connective part of the Arrowverse films. Something feels off. And
I think that's just the connective tissue in the CW period, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Two more, fellas. Thrones of Atlantis. Nate.
Yeah, going back, like I said, I haven't watched this since I first bought it when it first came out back in the day. So I can't exactly remember what happened in the movie. Hence why I rated it as a C. But I do like the fact that, like I said, I think this is the movie that started to bring on the proper voice cast, I suppose, moving forward with this continuity. And I think I remember enjoying it for what it was. But yeah, unfortunately, just because I can't remember exactly everything that happened in this movie, it's something I'll have to go back to and watch from start to finish, especially with all these, from Justice League War moving on. So, but yeah, that's why I ranked it as a C, because I know I enjoyed the movie, but I just can't remember all the parts that actually happened. Obviously, it's the origin of Arthur. But yeah, unfortunately, I just can't remember everything, all the details in this movie.
So I gave Justice League War a B. I actually liked Thrones of Atlantis a little better, so I gave it an A. The origin story for Aquaman, I really liked it. I enjoyed it. Sam Witwer as Orm, I love that. The voice cast, like he said, we got Jerry O'Connell in the role of Superman. We got Rosario Dawson. Alan Tudyk was Superman in Justice League War, and I mean, that man is great. He is so awesome. But he didn't really get to do much in Justice League War. And then Jerry O'Connell got to do more and continued to get to do more as the universe continued going. Rosario Dawson was, and I like the girl who played, I can't remember her name. Monaghan. Yeah, she's really good.
Monaghan.
She's a really good actress.
Mission Impossible 3.
But I don't know what they were trying to do. I don't understand their direction for her speech in Justice League War. So Rosario Dawson she just did a much better job. And we got to see a look of that scene from Justice League Origins from the New 52, where Aquaman calls up all of these sharks and stuff that come out of the water. So we got to see that scene, which was really cool. Yeah, it's a good one. I liked it.
Yeah, I'm going to throw it up as an A and average it in as an A here because of everything you just said. And I like that, you look at this movie and War together, both being off the New 52's first volume of the Justice League, and then the Aquaman story. They do a good job of adapting them and tweaking them, having, Shazam appear in War, and then having this movie more as Aquaman's film with the Justice League, giving him a great introduction,
right,
and story. And
well, he was in Origins. Shazam wasn't in Origins, so they kind of like swap positions there. So we got Aquaman a little bit later, and then War actually had a post-credit scene of Orm coming up with like the Dead King or something. So it was actually a direct sequel. They really built off of it. That the King of Atlantis died in the apocalypse invasion of Earth, and Orm uses it as an excuse to wage war on the surface. Mm-hmm.
They had a plan here. They had a plan. All right, fellas, we got one more film to wrap this up here, and this will be a pretty easy one. Batman: Mask of the Phantasm. Nate, seen it? Heard of it?
No, definitely seen this one and definitely heard of it. Yeah, definitely an A across the board. This is basically the start of all these movies. Without this one, I don't think, I know that, for me, the DCAU movie to start with was Superman Doomsday, but, when it comes to the animated movies as a whole, Mask of the Phantasm was the start. And the fact that my Lois Lane is in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Dana Delaney is, she provided her voice in this movie, and and obviously went on to Superman the Animated Series from there. The amount of people that I've heard talk about this movie and just wish this was a live action movie. This is and a lot of people actually rank this as their best Batman movie ever. Above any live action movie that they've ever been. And it's just one of those ones that it's the same as we've discussed in the past, that if they wanted to make a good Superman movie, Superman the Animated Series is a great starting point to use to make a great series of movies. And Batman: Mask of the Phantasm is not the same thing. If they want to make a live action Batman movie, and yes, there are a lot of great ones out there, this is one of the best animated movies going around, and definitely an A plus for me. And I'm grateful that they brought this into
Mask of the Phantasm. What's that? Never seen that before. No. Yeah. No, it's an A. Mask of the Phantasm is an A. Anybody who's seen it, I mean, they know that it's great. It's really good. Such a good origin story that they bring in there. Some of the first days of Batman, him learning, him becoming what he's, him going from, this vigilante to Batman to being the character. Andrea Beaumont's character, her becoming, spoiler alert, the Phantasm. His love, the person who almost stopped him from being Batman, becoming this angel of vengeance. And, they, so many things tied the movie together, so many things built throughout the movie. Everything meant something, so many things built. Bruce built the character of Batman around him, things he took from different places. And then, the kind of like the Joker having some sort of origin, you know, not really, but some sort of origin, like he was there, and then the way he shows up just at the right time to take the movie into its third act, and that is done so well. The animation, the big fight scene at the World of Tomorrow, yeah, it's very, very good. Definitely one of the best.
This is an A for me. I mean, this is a movie that when it came out, I saw that it was coming out, and I asked my dad to go to the theater. My brother kind of wanted to see this, but he also wanted to see, I think it was Beethoven, and I kind of like talked him out of it. And we actually all went to the theater and saw this, and I just remember my dad being like, that was really good. Like, my dad would always watch Batman the Animated Series. So we all came out really enjoying the film and being a really good Batman story. So, like, yeah, this is back to, like you said, that S tier, A+. Like, this is like the
yeah. I mean,
standard.
on any given right,
So
on any given day,
we
it's
could
this and
go
Under
on
the
for a
Red
long
Hood.
time.
I mean, they're
We
tied
can
for
keep,
number one. You know what I mean?
yeah, but yeah, we could go on and on, but we're gonna put a pin in it here. This is part one, people. We still have more movies to discuss. To find that podcast, you're gonna have to wait just probably a little bit about a week, and you're gonna have to go and check out my good pal Nate's podcast. Nate, go ahead. Let people know where they can find you if they don't already listen to you talk.
Thanks, Tyler. Yeah, so I've been on hiatus for a little bit, just with life and with finding a new job. But you can find me at Superman the Animated Podcast on all your favourite podcatchers, on social media. I've now changed a lot of my social media links now, so I'm now everywhere. So on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, you can find me on Sup Animated Pod. And yeah, that's where you can reach out. Always happy to talk anything Superman or DC related. Doesn't have to be animated, but yeah, that's what the podcast is all about. And yeah, looking forward to doing the second part of this, and it'll be released soonly after we record.
All right. So everybody check out Nate's pod, go and listen to him talk about the animated series, and get ready for part 2. And remember,
Look up in the sky. Yes, it's me, Sailor.
we just want to say if you've enjoyed this podcast, please check out other podcasts on the Press Play Podcast Network. Remember to check out Krypton Report on all social media platforms. Go to linktree.com/Krypton Report. You find all of our information right there. $1 a month, you'll get extra special content that you don't get on the main show, like movie commentaries and whatever else comes out of our mouths. So check it out, patreon.com/Krypton Report.
If you are like Tyler and James and can't get enough super talk, check out these other podcasts. Digging for Kryptonite, Supergirl Radio, The Last Sons of Krypton, the Superboy Legacy Podcast, All-Star Superfans, Superman the Animated Podcast, The Aspiring Kryptonians, Always Hold On to Smallville, Caped Wonder, The Geek of Steel, and Truth, Justice, and Hope Podcast.